Good morning. How many of you are thinking that you might want to start your own business at some point in the future? Excellent. Now, do you already have the million-dollar idea that you're going to need in order to get your business to be a big success? Or are you still working to search out that perfect idea, the one that you're going to really want to dedicate your new business to? In any case, when you start your new business, the first problem you're going to have is you're going to put in a ton of effort and work really hard. So you better find an idea that you really love. If you don't have an idea that you really love, you're just never going to be able to put in the kind of effort that's going to be required. Now, once you get your business going, you're going to have to put in lots of effort, hard work. You're going to put in hours. You can commit resources and money. But when you commit all those resources and money, you're hoping that it's going to be something that works, and it better be something that you're passionate about. So we're going to talk later about passionate ideas. But it's not enough for you to be passionate about your idea. You're going to need to convince other people that this thing actually makes sense. Investors, potential employees, potential customers all have to get on board and think that what you have here is a business idea that makes sense. Now, when I work with students at the NJIT Innovation Acceleration Club, it all comes down to 4 letters: NAVC. And NAVC really just refers to, at least initially, that what you're going to need a viable concept for your new business. If you don't have a viable concept, you're never going to get off the ground. So a lot of entrepreneurs wonder whether their million-dollar idea is going to be a viable concept. And in order to help you figure out whether your million-dollar idea really is a viable concept, we're going to spend some time talking about the ingredients that are going to allow you to determine up front whether you actually have something that might work. I'm going to share with you some more letters that we talk about at the Innovation Acceleration Club, and that's NAVC yet once again. In this case, the first N stands for need. You need to be able to explain why your business concept solves an important problem. Now, the core part of any pitch that you make as an entrepreneur is going to be based on answering this question. This is the hook that's going to allow potential employees, investors, customers, all the suppliers to participate and understand why your business is something that's important. Now, if you're talking about something like, say, like the cure for cancer, that's important. But if what you're proposing is, for instance, a new and better way to grip the steering wheel of a car, that's going to take some explaining. And what you have to know is that if you can't explain clearly why your business idea solves an important problem, then you're never going to be able to explain why potential customers should eventually buy your product or service. The second letter stands for application. You need to explain what the solution is. And in explaining what the solution is, you have to articulate how you're going to solve this problem that you now proposed. Is it going to be a new device, a new web application, a new formulation, a new mobile solution, some new system? Could be any of these things. But at this point, the most crucial thing that you need to know is your application, your explanation of your application has to be credible. Because if what you're going to say is that in order to discover that new cure for cancer, what you need to do is you need to send a man to Mars or discover a new element, it's going to be hard to explain why your solution is credible and that you're going to be able to actually provide it. The V stands for value proposition. Value proposition really answers the question, how do you propose to make any money from this particular idea that you have? Now, that's going to be important to you because this is going to be something that's going to be your livelihood. And so you would like to believe that you can support yourself out of this business idea that you're presenting and proposing. It's also going to be critically important to potential investors because they're going to want to know how it is they're going to get a return on their investment. So if you can't explain those things, you're unlikely to be able to capture the resources that you're going to need to be able to start your business. Now, oddly, this is not actually as important as it sounds because if you've done a really good job of explaining that you're solving a really important problem and that you have a really credible solution, most actual funders are going to believe that if you build it, the money will follow. I mean, you might think of, say, Google or Facebook as examples. The C stands for competition and competence. And here, you're going to really try to explain why you're the one who's supposed to be the one that's bringing this business forward. Now, if there's a real problem that you're trying to solve, then somewhere out there, people already have some sort of solution. Now, you may be offering a much better solution, and it may be very different from the previous solution, but if there's a real problem, then there must be already people out there solving it somehow. Potential investors absolutely hate it when you tell them, my business idea, there's no competition. Because when you tell them there's no competition, generally what it means is you have no idea who the competition actually is. So in this particular case, you need to be able to articulate how your idea fits in the space of all other similar and related ideas in order to be credible with your solution. You can also gain credibility by showing them a prototype or a patent application. And in any case, you can actually, all these things are going to try to help explain why you're the right person to lead this venture forward. Even for a product that creates a whole new category, maybe somewhat revolutionary, you might think of the iPad. People were solving those problems before iPads existed. They may have been walking around with a laptop open in order to be able to solve their problem, but they were still solving many of the same sorts of problems. So you need to know who your competition is and be able to articulate it. So we're going to try to work through a simple example. I propose that we start a new restaurant here in Newark. I'd like to introduce a new cuisine and feel that the market would really like to discover the food of Chechnya. Now you might shrug and say, Chechnya, really? But I know that when I bring my friends home to my mythical grandmother's Chechen food, they fall all over themselves in appreciation. And there's already a bunch of Portuguese, Italian, Brazilian restaurants in the Ironbound, and there's room for something new. There's a need for something new. Now the application's easy because it turns out Chechen food is actually rather simple to cook. Pretty easy to prepare. Typically it's made of dumplings, pancakes, a little bit of meat, chicken, beef, never pork, it's not halal. The cooking styles are boiled or pan-fried and typically pretty quick and can be made fresh from ingredients that are easily prepared in advance. And you don't need a lot of special equipment to set up a restaurant to cook Chechen food. In fact, and there's always restaurants that are going out of business. You could find a restaurant that went out of business. You could basically quickly take over their lease. You could do a little remodeling, a little redecorating, and then pretty soon start cooking. So then the value proposition. Well, Chechen food, the ingredients aren't very expensive. And it's going to be easy to prepare. You don't need a very fancy chef or a lot of people preparing the food. And we'll be able to charge a premium because, in fact, of the novelty value of people haven't tried anything like this before. Prep times are going to be quick. We'll be able to turn over a lot of people, be able to get a lot of people served in our restaurant. And in addition, right, we can set up a takeout business and get additional leverage through, from that in our restaurant. So then we come down to competition and competence. People are already eating meals, and they're already going out to restaurants. So we know that. So all those existing restaurants are already substantial competitors. We have to figure out how to draw them to ours. But I feel that an entirely new cuisine is going to catch the attention of reviewers and foodies who are going to say, hey, let's try that out. That's something new. And through word of mouth and through, they're going to help bring in a larger, broader audience to try out our food. And I have a secret weapon. Because my mythical grandmother, she passed down all of her favorite recipes to me, and I know how to cook it like she did. So what it comes down to then, if you have this viable concept, it comes down to now you need to collect the resources. So the next stop is you need an appointment with a venture capitalist. And we'll talk more about that later today. Still, it's just NAVC. Now, if you assume you get those resources, you put in the hard work, you have a little bit of luck, you have a successful restaurant, then what I suggest is our next stop, and our next stop is let's all go have a plate of garnish. Thank you very much.